to check.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Uncut with Q. I'm your host, Quentin Flores, and today I have a phenomenal guest. But guys, this podcast is about real life events. It's about current events. It's about entrepreneurship, business, and overcoming hardships. So if this is your first time tuning in, we have a fee for the show, right? So guys, I don't plan to run any ads on this show. I have a really good friend that, well, I can't say he's a friend yet, but he will be a friend one day. He's a good friend named Andy Frisella, who I see as my mentor, and he always says that there's a fee to the show. The fee is, if you get value from this, if you like this show, if it made you think, if it helped you question something in your life, share the show. And so, guys, I am joined today with a phenomenal guest, a really good friend of mine. I've actually known her for a long time. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Introduce yourself to the entire world.
Hey, guys. I'm Norma Lira. I'm a local real estate agent here in San Antonio, Texas.
She's so much more than a local real estate agent. She's doing so much. It's funny. Like, I met you when, like, how long ago?
About 5 years ago.
5 years at a Whole Foods where we shared a terrible sandwich.
Yes.
Let's just be honest. I mean, I remember when we met, we just immediately connected and started doing business. And you've literally seen me grow up in the industry.
Yes, for sure.
You're like my business mom.
Yep.
I'm kidding.
That's good. I would love to be your business mom.
That's awesome. So, dude, tell everybody about yourself. You know, what is it that you're doing right now in the market? I mean, I know the market's crazy right now, right? If you guys are listening to this is 2022. Apparently, interest rates are spiking at like 6%. But, aside from that, like, what is it all that you're involved in right now?
So right now, my husband and I, we have a mortgage business. We do property management, and then we just do residential real estate.
How long have you guys been married?
20 years. We've been together 20 years. We've been married 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a huge stretch.
Yeah, we've kind of grown up together.
People don't even have kids that are that old, man. How is that, if you don't mind me asking?
I mean, it's got its good days and its bad days, but it's a commitment that you make, and it's a decision, and we have a family, and so, we do the best we can every day.
Have y'all owned a business together this entire time?
Yeah, we met in the industry. So
may I ask how it happened?
Well, yes, you may. I was actually processing loans at the time, and he was working for another mortgage broker. And so there was this guy named Gordon who was in charge of recruiting. And so Gordon had hired me, and I was the processor, and Gordon wanted me to meet Enrique. Wanted Enrique to come over, and he would always say, hey, I want you to have lunch with this guy. I want you to meet this guy. I think he would be good, blah, blah, blah. And I always used to just give him a hard time and say, I'm not here to help you recruit or whatever, in different terms, I would say it. But
he was literally trying to set y'all up.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to he knew that I was Enrique's type. And so he knew if I was going to be his processor, then Enrique would come over. And so one day I had messed up on a file and I cost the company money. And he's like, okay, you know what? Now you owe me. You got to go to lunch with Enrique. And so we ended up going to lunch, and then everything worked out good. He ended up coming over to work the next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I love the story. It's awesome. Let me tell you how me and my wife met.
Okay.
It was at a hippie party and everybody was doing acid in the backyard. That is literally how we met, okay? And she liked the way that I was spinning fire. And so I spun fire in front of her. She stood in front of me while I spun fire in front of her. For you guys that don't know, I'm a performer of sorts. I love setting things on fire. It's backfired a few times. And she came over to my house and stayed the night, that same night, and then she just never left.
Never left.
And we've been together ever since. It's going on 10 years next November that I've been with the same woman.
And I think like in long-term relationships, you have to have a connection more than a physical connection, right? Because physical connections come and go. Like as people, we evolve, the way we look is changed, our sizes change and things like that. But if you have like a common connection with somebody, a real connection, then it doesn't really matter, what's going on in life. Like sometimes I feel like with Enrique and I, we always love each other, but you fall in and out of love with each other and in and out of lust. But if you always have like a connection or a friendship, that's what really gets you through the harder times in your relationship.
That is beautiful. That is a literal gem that you just dropped on everybody right now. I love that. Now let's go back in time. Where'd you grow up? Where were you born?
So I'm from the Bay Area. I grew up in California. I'm first generation here, so my parents are from Mexico, and I grew up in the Bay Area.
Wow. Were you good at that time, or did you have a rough upbringing?
So we grew up in a like a poorer neighborhood. My parents didn't ever have a formal education, so when they came here, they were working more like labor jobs and stuff like that. And so we grew up, I mean, I had a great childhood. You know, we didn't have much, but
You had each other.
we had each other. I have 5 other siblings.
I'm one of 6 kids too.
Yeah. So where I grew up, it's Hispanic, Black, Filipino community. So, I mean, I grew up with all different colors, all different races, all different foods, all different types of parents, and, you know, and we all just kind of grew up together. So it was a good experience.
What made you move to San Antonio?
Well, so we did real estate in California, and back in 07, 08, when the market started turning, we just saw things that were it was just too expensive. You know, things were just changing, and we knew we wanted a better life for ourselves and for our kids. And so we liked Texas. We didn't know where we wanted to live in Texas, but we knew that Texas, for some reason, it just attracted us. Well, we would travel a lot to Mexico, so it was within driving distance to a lot of the cities that we like to go to in Mexico. So when we got here...
You speak Spanish?
Yep, fluently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your whole life?
Yep.
I spoke Spanish until I was 5, and then my mom dropped me on my head, and I forgot it.
You forgot it all?
Yeah. It's crazy how that works, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah, I grew up speaking Spanish. My kids speak Spanish. So it's very important for me to carry that on with our family.
So moving into San Antonio, and you guys decided to just get your feet wet in the industry here?
So we had done real estate. We were in real estate in California, but when we moved here, we had started from zero. So we didn't know anybody, but we did. I had 2 uncles that live here and a few cousins, but I never grew up with them, or I never had a relationship with them until we moved here.
So it must have been tough. What would you say was like the driving force, that was like, man, we have to do this, like you and your husband, you get here, there's no, like, you don't even know the market. The market is crashing. This is 07, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what was the driving force for you to just say that we're going to do this regardless of the situation?
I mean, I think you're just born with that want to be successful, with that want to survive. I know the type of life that I want to live, and I do what it takes to get there.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. Especially I'm not going to lie, dude, like real estate. And I hate to say this. I hate it when people say this because I meet so many women that absolutely fucking kill it in this space. But I mean, what is your opinion on the idea of this place being a male dominated industry? And what do you do to stand out in this arena?
So it is a very male dominated industry. I think that it's one of the few areas where women can be very successful.
Oh, absolutely.
And not be so discriminated against. I think that real estate, definitely, it's about your knowledge, but it's definitely relationship based. And so I think women naturally have that, motherly, trusting instinct. For me, honestly, when I have a client, my goal is not necessarily how much they're qualifying for or what the end game is, what my commission's going to be. It's really about getting them in the house and giving them some kind of stability, having them have that ultimate goal of, home ownership. And so for me, that's the most important part. Like I'm very involved with my clients. I take it very personally. When you're in that real estate, when you're buying a home, you're so involved with that person on a daily basis. You guys naturally connect. You naturally form that bond. People. It's kind of like when you're sitting on next to an airplane with a stranger. Like you just find yourself telling him things that you wouldn't tell anybody else. And that's kind of what happens during real estate. You're going through all these stressful things or these life-changing moments, and then you really learn to connect with people. And I think for me, the hardest part is just keeping up with those relationships, because during the process, it's kind of like dating somebody, right? You're dating, you get the keys, and then all of a sudden that person's not there anymore or as often.
Yeah.
And so, just keeping up with those relationships is important.
Honestly, dude, you've always made it so seamlessly easy to stay in contact with you. Like throughout these entire years, you send me gifts. Like you literally have gotten me a bottle for a closing that we did, I don't drink anymore. I'm 2 years sober, so it's been a while. This was a different person, but you've sent me thank you cards every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, even though we hadn't done business together in a while. And you are the first person that I think of when I know I want to sell or list a property. And you know what I think that is, where that comes from, is that you operate your business from a sense of genuine love.
Yes, for sure.
And I love that, you know?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people in the realtor space, they could do so much more if they really operated their business, not looking at the commission, but looking at the check.
Yeah.
Not the check, but at the person.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's what it is. Like, I honestly, I feel so blessed to be able to do something that I love to do every single day. And I make sure I educate myself and I educate my clients, because I know that buying a home is not something, or selling your home is not something you do every single day. And I feel like it's one of the biggest transactions you're ever going to do in your entire life. And for me, I want you to feel comfortable every single day that you're with me. I want you to feel like you know exactly what's going on. And if you don't understand something, I want us to have the type of relationship where you're like, I don't get it. Explain it to me again. And I'll explain it to you 100 times until you get it. And I know that you get it, because at the closing table, I want you to know, I want you to feel that you made the right decision, that you're completely informed about what's going on, and that you're happy with the way everything went through. And it's not always smooth, like we've done deals together where things
Shit
fall
pops
apart
up.
Every single time. But it's my job, I'm kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of the stewardess, right, on an airplane. So there's always going to be turbulence, and usually when there's turbulence on the airplane, you look at the stewardess, and the stewardess is like sitting down, just calm. So it's like I kind of project that in my mind, So
like
when things go wrong, it's when you're going to see me at my coolest, and I'm going to assure you, that everything's going to be, fine. Or if it's not fine, I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to let you know why it didn't go that way and how we can fix it.
I see. Dude, it's honestly crazy just seeing the growth that you've had like over the years. Real fast, guys, let's go ahead and let them know that we're recording over here, because I can tell that, you know what I'm saying? We'll keep going though. We'll keep going. Yeah. They're doing construction on the building next door, everybody, just so y'all know. So if y'all hear like clicking and clanking, it's because they're fixing the office by us. But either way, this is insane, Norma, like it's been awesome knowing you these last few years and seeing you grow even further than what you were at when we first met at that dinner table, lunch table, whatever it is. And, what would you say that has been the most valuable thing that you've learned being involved in the realtor industry?
I mean, I honestly, so a little bit about, I guess, to go back to the beginning, why I have a passion for real estate. So like I told you guys in the beginning, my dad never had a formal education. My mom didn't either. We came here, both my parents worked, labor jobs, and my dad met a realtor. His name was Mr. Balas. He was from Chile. And he showed my dad how to invest. And so my dad, we bought our first little house. It was right across the street from a bar. It was 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and not such a great neighborhood. And so, but he is the person that changed the trajectory of all of our lives. And so this one realtor showed my dad how to invest in a house, how to buy a house. And so, and believed in him, showed him how to do it. And from there, my dad, every few years, they would buy a different property and buy a different property and buy a different property. So my dad, somebody who was barely literate, now owns free and clear over $7 million worth of real estate. And it all started from this one realtor taking the time to show my dad the value of investing and how to make, your portfolio grow. And so to this day, he's still our realtor. I mean, he's retired now, but I saw that. And so when I was little, I always found an interest in real estate. So my parents would get a house. I would help my mom paint it. Back then there was no internet or anything like that. So in order for us to rent it, I would remember making a flyer, going to the Mexican store, putting it on the board, writing our phone numbers, and cutting the little edges so that people could take it. I would help my parents rent it. And so starting at, a young age, I've always been involved in it. And so I think when I went to school, I was studying sociology, and I started working for a mortgage lender, answering phones. And then from there, I kind of just evolved and really learned every aspect of the business. So, I'm very versed in financing. I know contracts in and out. And, I feel like in this day and age, everybody wants to get their license. But there's one thing to be successful and really grow your business and know what you're doing and represent your clients in a way that needs to be done. And then there's another thing, just getting your license and, like you said, working for the commission.
Yeah. I love that. Such an awesome perspective, man. That's crazy. And I think that what I can take away from that is to operate this business on both valued relationships on that standpoint, and also on your ability to be able to execute in a timely manner. And then having the correct people as mentors to show you and guide you. Dude, so you're not just a realtor though, right? You invest as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you go into how you made that transition? Were you an investor first or were you a realtor first?
I was always a realtor. So I was a loan officer first and then became a realtor. In my early 20s, when subprime loans were there, and my husband and I, we had a bunch of investments in California, and we lost it all. When the market crashed and everything. So when we
lost all the real estate that you owned?
Everything.
How?
Well, just, at that time, people were the finances that were there, right? So there was the loans that they were offering you were like stated income, stated assets, and different things like that. So, you pretty much, you had a pulse, you had a loan. And so at that, seriously, it was crazy. And so we had people that were coming in from different lenders and stuff, and they were training us on their products. And at that time, in my 20-year-old self, I really thought I was helping my community. I thought, cool, it's especially in California, your one or two of your family members might be documented with the social and the rest are not documented. So in order for you to get a house, it'd be like, Quentin, where do you work? Oh, I work at McDonald's. Okay, what kind of house do you want to buy? I want to buy this house for $400,000. Okay, Quentin, well, in order for you to qualify for this house, you need to make $6,000 a month. Do you make $6,000 a month? And you would say, well, yes, I do. So now you're stating your income to me. So I can legally put that on an application and say, Quentin stated he makes $6,000 a month working at McDonald's as a manager or whatever.
They were approving loans on stated income, meaning
stated income, stated assets.
If I say I made like $20,000 a month, that's all they needed?
Yes.
Wow.
And so at that time, it was, like I said, my 20-year-old self, and these mortgage lenders are coming in and they're training you on their programs and they're saying this is how you're going to get people to qualify. And so for me, and working in a very, like a lot of our clients were either Hispanic, the majority of them were Hispanic. Yeah, but for me, I was helping my community. I was creating home ownership. I was helping people that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford or have a home get it. Now, granted, like it'd be 2 or 3 families that were coming together, but it'd only be one person on the application.
If you were doing loans back then, I'm sure you made a killing just getting people approved like crazy.
Yeah. Crazy.
You're like, oh yeah, absolutely. Stamp it, approved, man. Go ahead.
But
buy a yacht.
But I didn't know any better, And then when we were betting on equities going, the equity going up on a property and being able to refinance your client into a 30-year fixed or into a more conservative loan. And when the market crashed and rates went up and values went down and I couldn't get those people to refi, then people were foreclosing and losing their homes. And that's the same thing that happened to us. Now, we didn't lose our home, but we had investment properties that we had done stated income, stated assets, and stuff like that. So let's say your rate was, one day was 6%, and now your 2 years were up or your 4 years were up, it went to 10 or 12%. So your payment went like $4,000 and
it wouldn't even make sense to keep the house.
You're collecting $2,000 on rent so.
Oh, it's backwards. Wow.
Yeah. So then we weren't able to keep a lot of our properties. I'm grateful that happened to me in my 20s, and I learned a lot from it, and it really opened my eyes. So,
dude, you're a boss ass lady, yo. Like, that's fucking cool.
Yeah. So I mean, we had to start over. We started from zero again. So when we came here to Texas, we had to get creative, in the ways that we were going to rebuild our lives.
Was Texas worse than Cali, or were they both like?
Texas was always great. Texas, we live in a bubble in Texas because while, other states like California and Florida, were going through this huge recession and property values were crashing, San Antonio, or I don't know, I can only speak for San Antonio market, but I believe Texas in general, it was still appreciating. It was still growing. So maybe you didn't have that, the normal appreciation rate, but you did have a little bit of growth, or no growth at all, but it wasn't declining.
I remember on the news when I was a kid, because I was 18 in 2007. I was like 17, 18 years old. And I just remember not feeling any of this, but looking at CNN and everybody's just losing their minds. People were just like heads on fire everywhere, running around.
What is that movie?
Which one? The Big Short?
The Big Short.
Yeah.
It was.
That's just, that's a good movie for you guys that are wondering how that went down. I think that movie depicts it completely. Brad Pitt's in it. I think, what is that one dude? He's super funny, chubby guy, glasses.
Gosh.
You know who I'm talking about. He's in that movie Superbad.
Yes.
Noah. Something, nothing. You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
That guy who's insanely hilarious is in that movie.
Yeah.
So then you came to Texas and then just pivoted into buying more properties for yourself.
It didn't happen automatically. So we came to Texas. We sold our primary home in California. We came to Texas. We bought a house here, and then we kind of just started from zero. So it was just getting back into the game, finding clients.
I love it, but you didn't quit.
No,
you kept
that's not
going.
an option.
I love that.
Yeah, but like I said, the one thing is, we all make mistakes and we all have to grow from them and we all have to learn from them. And so, really for us, coming to Texas was kind of like a new start. And you were
a mom at this time too?
Yeah.
How many kids did you have?
So we had 3 at the time.
3 kids at the time, and you're moving all the way over here across the entire country to come to San Antonio, Texas to build something.
Yeah.
How do you handle entrepreneurship and being a mom at this time, and even now where you're at?
It definitely takes a village.
A village.
I had a lot of support from, when I came here, we didn't have any friends. We were in a tough spot, and so I had actually joined a mom group. And
Super Moms Unite?
It was called Mis Amiguitos. And
Justice League of Mexican Moms.
Right? It was like at this one time where there was just a lot of families that were moving into Texas. And I don't remember exactly how because there was no Facebook. I don't even know. But
there was MySpace.
No, I think it was Facebook. Facebook had just kind of started.
I remember it was like 2008 when I was like, I guess I'll try this thing out.
Yeah.
I was so, how I love to, edit my MySpace
Meetup.
page.
It was a meetup. There was a web page called Meetup where different groups got together. And so who's still a really good friend of mine, Ida, she had created this moms group. And so for moms, and we joined it. And that's actually where I made some of the best friends that I have right now. And we were all kind of young and we kind of grew up together. And so, just support. My in-laws moved out here too, so they helped us. And
how do you manage that? 3 kids though, that just sounds so crazy, but you made it work.
You make it work. And I always remember, or I always keep in mind, my mom always told me, when you get overwhelmed, you're going to look at your kids and you're going to feel frustrated, but you're also remember at the same time that one day you're going to miss these days. Wow. And now that my kids are, the baby's 13 and my other son's 15, and they kind of have their own lives and they're more independent. And I do miss those days. I used to have them in my car playing video games and eating McDonald's while I showed property.
You brought them with you?
Yeah.
Any means necessary.
Times, whatever it took to get the job done. Yeah.
I love that. I think that a lot of people, when they decide to have children, they use the child as an anchor when they should use the child as an engine.
Sure, yep.
Kids are engines. Yeah. When you have a child, that's the most driving, motivating factor in your life to get to where you want to go as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, if you're listening to this and you have kids, lead by Norma's example, man. Take them with you. If you're going to drive for dollars, take them with you.
Yeah. It's not it's not what I wanted to do, but it's what I needed to do at that time. And, my kids see us work and, they see that, the value that we bring in. Like my daughter, sometimes she's funny. She'll be like, my mom's a boss. And it makes me laugh. It makes me shine though inside to make her like that she
really
realizes
are a boss.
that, like everything I do is for them, And well, not everything, right? We do things for ourselves, but I always tell my kids, I'm going to leave you your education, and we're going to try and travel this world as much as we can. And when I die, if there's anything left, you're welcome to it. But it's not my responsibility to make you successful. It's my responsibility to give you the tools for you to be successful. And what you do with those tools when you're an adult is up to you. And that's kind of how my parents raised me. And so I feel like I've always had that drive where, I want to be successful. I want to be a good person. I want to have a successful business. I want to have kids that are loving. For me, my goal with my children is to just not raise assholes. Just be good people. Be thankful for what you have. Be educated. Learn how to speak to people, and find something that you have a passion to do, and do it well.
My mom taught me the same thing.
Yeah.
There is nothing that my mother ever gave me that was handed to me. She always said from the moment that I was able to work, because I remember at 16, I rushed to get a job because I wanted to make my own money. She said, now you're good enough to pay bills here. And I remember I resented her so much for that, because I would go to work and then she'd ask me to cover the light or cover the water or whatever, right? And in my head, I was like, man, Mom, you raised me so that, I could finally get older, and now I have my own job. I want to keep some of this money for myself. You know what she told me? She said, then get your own place, mijo.
Yeah.
You're more than capable. You're a man now. You want to be a man, then you make man decisions. I didn't realize that she was really teaching me how to be independent.
Yeah.
Your kids will forever love you for this, I promise. Because I look back and my mother's the center of my entire family. She was an orphan, so her mother died in a plane crash in Fredericksburg and gave her up at birth. We don't even know who the dad is. My grandpa, I don't even know who the hell that is, because he wasn't there when my mom was born. So only my grandma was on the birth certificate. And so my mom just had adoptive parents and 6 kids that were hers. So all we have is our mom. And my mother, she did her best.
Well, I think that to that point, I think because you become a parent, when we're kids, we assume that our parents have know everything, right? They know everything. Their pockets are endless. They should be providing you. They should be giving you those shoes, or they should be giving you that PlayStation, or they should be giving you a cell phone. And we don't really, now as an adult, I see and I was the same way with my parents. We grew up, very humble. So I started working. My first job was at 15 years old, working at McDonald's.
Wow.
So which I always tell people that was one of the best jobs I've had in my life, because it taught me systems. It taught me responsibility about how to show up on time. It taught me how to deal with different types of personalities. It just taught me so much that the things that I learned there, I still implement now. So in my brain, it's kind of if there's a problem with a deal or something, I play that deal out like an assembly line in my head. And it's okay, where did we leave off, or what do I need to do, or what can we plug in here to make this work? And it's kind of I feel like that's things that I learned in fast food, because you're working fast, you're trying to solve problems, you're trying to get things out quickly. And so, that was one of the things with my kids. It's if they weren't playing sports, or if they weren't doing some extracurricular activity, they were working, because it was like you said, just teaches you responsibility. It teaches you self-worth. It makes you feel good. And especially I feel like for my daughters, it's important to feel that you're independent, because you want to be, you want to feel that when you're in a relationship with somebody that you're there because you want to be, not because you need to be. And the only way to really show you that is to show you that you're independent on your own. So you can pay your own bills. You can make your own decisions. You can, write your own checks. You can balance your own checkbook or whatever. I know you guys don't balance checkbooks anymore, but, all those little life skills that you learn as, a teenager or a young woman or in college, those transferred through you, in adult, as you become an adult. So that, you know that you're independent, you know that you're okay. And so it's just so much more than just giving your kids an education. It's also giving them life skills that, I think that we fall short on sometimes. And we have to implement that with our kids so that they really understand that no matter what, they're going to be okay. Because the same thing, like you said, when we came here, we didn't have anything. We didn't know anybody. I didn't know how I was going to grow my business. And so, luckily.
This is before social media too.
Before social media and all of that.
You got in the mud.
Yeah. Yeah. So, right now, in our office, I'm top 5% in sales. I'm a one-person team. There's over 1,500 agents in our office.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Top 5% in sales. Man, it is crazy to come from where you growing up in the Bay Area and then going through motherhood in your early 20s, establishing a business. Like, I did not know any of this stuff about you at all. Like, we've had conversations, but it's always just been about like current things that are going on.
Yeah.
That's crazy, Norma. I'm absolutely blown away. I think any lady that is listening to this right now, like, you guys can lead, like, you can follow this woman's example right here. Dude, I got to ask you, like, right now, this market that we're in, do you think that this recession is going to affect where we're at here in Texas? Or do you think, this is just a bunch of rah stuff that's happening? Like, what do you see?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to affect us. No matter what happens in the world, it's going to affect us. But a lot of it is about education, right? And so I think, yes, it's going to affect us. But we have to remember that San Antonio is a very, our community or our economy is military, is medical, call centers. So I think what got us through the last recession in 07, 08, and what's going to continue to help our city is that we're not the jobs that are the heart of our city are almost recession proof. And so will we continue to see the appreciation that we've seen over the last few years in San Antonio? Probably not, but we really don't want to see that. The one nice thing about San Antonio that was attractive for me as a realtor and for me as a real estate investor is that San Antonio has always been kind of like slow and steady. So our appreciation rates have been like 7 to 11%. In growing areas outside the city like Cibolo, Schertz, New Braunfels, they've been a little bit higher, but it's been affordable. And so it's attractive to an investor because you can buy investment properties and still rent them at a great, an affordable price to a family that has a stable income. And it's very easy to find. And so over the last few years, I mean, we've seen appreciation rates like we've never seen in the history of San Antonio, like 20, 30, 40%.
My personal home, just to attest to this, I bought it for $295,000. It's worth almost $450,000 now.
Yeah.
And that happened in 1 year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And that's not a healthy market for us. We don't want to be there because then what happens is it doesn't become affordable. And then what happens is when it doesn't become affordable, then, it's kind of where we get into the issues with like what's going on in other states like California and stuff like that. So for us, I mean, I think that although nobody wants to pay more money, the rise in interest rates, I can see the reason behind it is to kind of slow things down. We most likely will have 1 or 2 more rate hikes before we leave, before the end of the year. But, I always tell my clients during this time, what's most important is to focus on your payment, right? So don't focus so much on the hype of the rates and this and that. Work closely with your loan officer. What can you afford? Okay, this is where my payment needs to be, and keep it there. It doesn't, real estate is a long-term hold for most people, right? So whether you're up or down right now, it doesn't matter because when you're ready to sell in 5, 7, or 10 years, that's when you're going to care what the market is. So as long as your payment is affordable, you need housing anyways. And what a better thing to do than invest in your financial future by buying rather than renting. And then if you change your mind, you don't like the house, you want to rent something else, you can, if your payment's affordable, you can rent that house and purchase another property. I mean, Enrique and I, that's kind of how I kind of just modeled myself after what my parents did, which is we would live in a house and then, rent it and then buy another house, live in it,
How long have
you
you been buying rental property anyway?
20 years.
20 years. I'm not even going to ask you how many you have, but I'm going to assume that it's a nice sized portfolio.
Well, so remember, we started our portfolio again 10 years ago.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, we have over 15 properties.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
passive income and equity just building up.
Yeah. And that's what it is for us.
Those like pay for your kids to go to college and stuff.
I look at them for those. I look at those. You're right, as like they're my long-term investment. So they're how my kids are going to pay for college. They're how I'm going to retire. So I'm not right now. I'm working. I don't need that income. And so for me, it's like anytime we have we have like a rental account. And so once we get enough for a 20% down payment, it's like I'm constantly buying properties, finding opportunities, and
partnering, because we're going to do a deal together.
Yes, we are.
You guys may not know this, but like Norma, I told her that I had all these houses sitting there, and she was like, let me tell you what you can do with those houses if I were to help you. And I was like, what? Okay. She came into my office this morning and we're talking about partnering up. So I'm at a weird stage in my business right now. So like I have houses that I bought that I should be doing something with, and Norma's actually helping me out with them. And I think this is why collaboration over competition is so important too. For sure. But just that's phenomenal.
Yeah. It's just crazy. About like learning how to grow, right? So, buying the right properties, getting the right financing behind them. The one good thing about all of this is with all the growth in San Antonio and the market that we've been going in, property, rents have gone up tremendously. And so it's actually very lucrative right now for an investor, even though the prices have gone up, but so have rents. And so, I have a lot of investors that it's funny because people kind of are saying, California is coming in and just buying everything. That's not been my experience. I see a lot of people from Dallas, Austin, Houston that love Texas, have maybe came here from other states, but this is now their home state. Like I consider this my home state.
Oh, I love Texas. It's beautiful here.
Yeah.
Taxes are low.
Yeah.
Food is amazing. Barbecue, tacos.
Exactly. But they're all coming in and they're all kind of focusing on San Antonio. Why? Because San Antonio still has great schools. We have, we're still a small city, but we're a big city with a small city feel, right? So we have great schools. We have lots of job growth. Housing is still very affordable. And so after COVID, a lot of those jobs where people now can work from home, they're looking to stay in Texas, but they maybe not necessarily want to stay in, Fort Worth or Houston because it's not affordable. So they are coming out this way towards San Antonio, Schertz, Cibolo, Bulverde, and then just maybe commuting once a month to work when they have to.
This is insane. You know what? I love this city so much. It's taught me so much being here, seeing the neighborhoods come up, like parts of the east side and even now the west side, and then central San Antonio is like booming. It's on a rise. Yeah. What do you see in the next 5 years that's going to come to this market here in San Antonio, Texas?
In the next 5 years, I think that we're hopefully...
Aren't they building the Tesla?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's like, how far is that?
That's not too far. It's right outside 35. So like between New Braunfels and San Antonio.
It's in San Antonio. They're building a Tesla in San Antonio.
Yeah.
That is, wow.
Yeah. Well, plus, at Petrenko, like you have all the call centers. So there's just so much growth. There's one thing about San Antonio that's bringing in a lot of business is that if you look at a map of Texas, we're kind of in this little bubble where we don't get hit with hurricanes.
It's beautiful, thank God.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's not too humid. The weather's great. Well, besides that snowmageddon we had the other year, but for the most part, it doesn't really snow. We don't get hurricanes. We don't get tornadoes. We don't get earthquakes. And so as an employer or as a bigger business coming in, like Tesla, like IBM, or like Apple, like Microsoft,
I saw they just built a huge IKEA. It's not even that far from here.
Yeah.
That's
so
brand new.
They see that they're not going to have bad weather days for their employees. They're not going to. The job growth is still here. The education level of people that live here, are what they're looking for those types of jobs. And so there's still a lot of growth to be that's going to happen here over the next few years.
I'm excited for it. Man,
Yeah.
Norma, dude, I've learned so much from you just in this one session.
I know,
What is some
thanks.
piece of advice that you would give to that agent that is starting out? Maybe it's an agent that's a mom that's trying to figure out how to put their license to work and really make this happen for their kid. Like, what's that advice that you would give to that person?
The advice I would give to that person is really find yourself a mentor and really understand the business. I feel like I said earlier, and it kind of goes across anybody. It's just like educate yourself, really know, because you do, when the market changes like this, or when we have a lot of growth in a city, there's a lot of people that come into our industry, right? And that's great. We were all new agents at one point. But the most important thing is to really find either a broker or an experienced agent that can really help you grow and understand, because I feel like that's where, 95% of my business is referral business. I don't do a lot of advertising outside. And it's because I'm really an advocate for my clients. I understand how the real estate process works. I understand how the financing aspect of it works. I'm always trying to, figure out what's the best way to negotiate a contract for my client. I'm not just looking at the commission. And I think that my clients feel that. And that's why, I do have a strong referral base. And so it's figuring out a way, where there's a will, there's a way. Partner up with another new agent mom. If you don't want to, if your kids are too rambunctious or you have a long day of showing, partner up with that other mom and work with each other. Hey, I'm going to be showing on Saturday. You help me. I'll help you on Sunday.
Love
or there's always ways. And there's so many people. There's one thing about San Antonio, and I think in our real estate community in general, is we are competitors, but we're not competing. It's like we all want to see each other successful. We all want to see each other grow, and I think that's the most important part.
That's how you do it. Where can everybody that's listening right now find you? Like, what's the best way they can get in contact with you?
So I'm always on Facebook. You can find me, Lira Realty Group, Lira Realty Group, or Norma Lira. And then on my cell, 210-627-1410.
Guys, you need to buy, sell, invest. Y'all make sure that you holler at my homie, Norma Lira. I appreciate you so much for being on the show, Norma, and I hope to have you back again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And we'll talk to y'all again after this thing. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Bye.